Okay, I think we're live. Hopefully everyone can hear me. Okay, let's get going. Happy Friday, everyone. Hope you're doing well. Let me let me set up my desktop a little bit better. Get everything around here. Good. Okay. So, as is tradition, start of the stream, I can do some stuff that I've been holding off on. Do some battles. Just overall day-to-day stuff that we do all the time. There is a new event coming up. It is the anniversary event. By the look of it, looks similar to what they've done with anniversary events in the past. So hopefully they'll release what we'll see in the live version. I'm sure they've done a beta version already, but yeah, we'll see what we do there. Do some guild expedition here. Currently in the trial 55. This is level 5, so I might lose a couple battles, but that's okay. Because it's only Friday, and we have until the end of Sunday, well, technically the beginning of Monday, to finish everything. So I usually finish everything by, I would say about this time, about today, early afternoon on Friday. I'll probably have to wait for the attempts to come back to generate again, and I can finish the last couple fights. If I wanted to, I could purchase an attempt. It's honestly not that many medals. Um, hey, David, thanks for joining. Hope you're doing well today. If the description of the video and the thumbnail didn't give it away, I don't have anything in particular to talk about today. So I feel like in the past we've had a couple Q&A sessions. If you have a general topic that you want to discuss, um, obviously, the more people that we have in here, the more we have to talk about. So you'd never lost in Guild Expedition until you reached Virtual Future. That is quite a streak, I will say. I want to say I probably started losing after leaving Progressive Era, I want to say. Whenever it was, I don't know if you know this, but there's a quest, and I believe in I believe in one of these, like postmodern or contemporary, you can get a unit from the future, and a lot of people do this in order to, like, win fights pretty easily. I think someone was saying last time that in guild battlegrounds, they have a lot of people in their guild that get up to like the 150 attrition in, I think, trial 50 in order to, just really go crazy. But with Ronin, you lose battles. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think with Guild Expedition, you have enough time to regenerate more attempts. So if you do lose a few, and I feel like they've put in a lot of attempts that you can you can win as a prize for completing one of these encounters. You can win more attempts. So I feel like that uh, that makes it a lot easier. You earn more attempts than you can go through in the week, or slightly less than a week that they give you for Guild Expedition. So yeah, um, I am still working my way through all my great buildings. I know we were talking about that on the last stream, all the different changes coming in for all the great buildings. Um, I think right now the only the only four I have left are Space Needle, the Cosmic Catalyst, and then the Saturn Centaurus and the Saturn Hydra. Everything else has been leveled up to level 100. Even Pegasus, even Warship, some of them are above level 100. The Zeus is at 101, Ark is obviously at 180, I can't, Castel del Monte is 103. So really excited to get this finished. I literally need one more blueprint, and I'm honestly just I'm thinking about just biting the bullet and paying 200 diamonds. So um, not up to 101. So that's a good question, David. And I've seen this a lot of places where people are taking their great buildings up to 201 because of the changes coming in. So if you know, please, say something in the chat. But I've always had it at 100 because I'm a little particular. I like, the even levels, but I feel like a lot of things, in order to get the even percentage, you need to go up to 101. So that maybe that's the case. And maybe that's the case for why a lot of people are going up to 201 with these great building changes that are coming up. But yeah, no, I've gone everything to level 100. So I'll pull up this page just kind of show you. So everything's at level 100 right now. I think, like for example, this gives 98 units, and I think if I went to the next level up, it would be 100. Let me see. No, it'd be 99. Okay, yeah. Yeah, so that's what they're saying, is that getting up to 101 is better because it evens everything out, or getting up to 201 is better because you set yourself up for technically, whatever they're going to open up for in in the Great Building Update. So yeah, but yeah, so me myself, I've just kept everything at 100. Um, I'm trying to decide if I get everything to level 100. I'm really hoping that I can do it before the guild, the Great Building Update. Um, if I can get everything up to level 100 before then, that'd be best. If not, I feel like it's going to be extremely, extremely difficult for me to finish some of these higher great buildings. So right now, the thing that is holding me back is I don't uh, generate enough goods for these. What was this from? This was from. Let me see if I can find it. This is from Space Age Titan, right? Um, so Space Age Titan goods are rather difficult to get, at least in my world. I don't know about anyone else. I have a bunch of trades up all the time. A lot of my guild mates try to grab them. But yeah, it's always very difficult getting the Space Age Titan goods. So because of that, it's difficult for me to get the next level. Obviously, I have enough coins, and I do have enough blueprints. Um, but yeah, similarly for this one, um, I have this special resource from Space Age Space Hub that is difficult to get because you have to go through the continent map, and the only ones that give a significant amount of special resources are these three. They take 24 hours to, basically regenerate. Um, there's one that takes 8 hours, and then on this planet or this, you know, uh, galaxy cluster, this one takes 4 hours. This one takes 8. So it's been really difficult to get that special resource. Um, Space Carrier does give special resources, but it's random over like anywhere between Arctic Future, Oceanic Future, and any of the space ages. So you don't necessarily get, all that different stuff. So a space carrier, is it worth getting level 100? I would say if you're going to get it early because, like I said, it really gives you special resources for any of the, well, I should say there's a caveat to that. Don't get it too early. Get it when you reach Arctic Future. Get it when they start doing this the special resource requirements, because if you're not in Arctic Future, it actually doesn't produce special resources. It produces, I forget what it produces, but I don't think it produces any special resources. So if you're going to get Space Carrier, only start it when you're in Arctic Future. Start leveling it up as you're playing through that age, and then through the subsequent ages, keep leveling it up. And then I would say, try to get up to level 100, uh, you know, sometime within the first couple of special resource ages, and then for all the newer ages, you have all the space ages that you have, you're going to have a level 100, and it should help you out a little bit more. So you're saying you've got level 67, that's fine, Mutual Future. I I honestly have been playing in Space Age Space Hub for so long, I forget all of the earlier stuff. Yeah, so you're in Virtual Future. Awesome. So you've been getting those special resources. You've been getting the Arctic Future, Oceanic Future, and then my I think at this point my most viewed video is the video that instructs people how to get Mars ore. I don't know if it's just the algorithm or if a lot of people just have a really difficult time figuring out how to get Mars ore, but Space Carrier helps you out with that, right? So that's the one thing that I really like about Space Carrier is that I continuously get um, those resources. So if you go to uh, just to walk you through, not that you don't know, but if someone watching this in the future, doesn't know, you can go up to this little thing here. So this shows your era goods, and it also shows your special resources. So I've got 95,000 for Arctic Future, 97,000 for Oceanic Future, and all of that is literally just because I have the space carrier and it's just been continuously generating, those special resources for however long. Mars ore, asteroid ice, all that different stuff. So, you can kind of see like the dark matter is the only one that I continuously spend because you need it for the cosmic catalyst. But if sometime in the future, if they start, asking for special resources for something else, I'm set because of my space carrier. So I wanted to pose a question to the group. Who here uses the military allies? Who here is using the heroic tavern and does the heroic endeavors and stuff like that? So that's the question. And I guess the follow-up question is, uh, do you think that the military allies that we have right now are good? Or do you think that they could be updated? And obviously, the reason I'm asking this is because I have an idea of how we could possibly change it. Now, I'm not saying that this is better, but for me, I think it'd be more interesting to do this. So, as we have some time, as people are joining the chat and hanging out, I want to pose this idea and let me know if you think that this is a good idea. So right now, the military allies are basically just a spaceless building that you add on to other buildings, right? So imagine a building that's just called the Spartan Soldier, but it doesn't take up any space, and it gives you, all these different army boosts, right? Because it's supposed to be military. Mark, welcome to the chat. Glad you joined. Keep listening because I'm going into a little bit of a deep dive on allies. So my idea is that instead of these allies just giving flat military boosts like we already see with all the other buildings, right? What if, for like example, a military ally would increase a building's boosts by a certain amount. So, for example, we'll go to one of the more recent buildings. I think this was from the winter event. So the Royal Midnight Clock Tower, right? You get vanilla Defending Army boosts, you get Guild Battleground boosts, you get Guild Expedition boosts. Um, my idea would be that you put an ally into this building, and the ally increases all of those boosts by 1% or 2% or something like that, right? And so in this way, you now have to kind of look into your buildings a little bit more, and maybe the military allies are specific to, well, this one only increases your guild battleground boost, or this one only increases your vanilla boost, something like that. But that would create a whole nother level to the allies where, you now have to see like, well, wait a minute, like maybe putting this queen in the Midnight Clock Tower isn't great because the queen is better for, attacking army of the guild battleground, and this is only for defending army. So instead, I want to put it in the Penelope's North Star Nursery because that guild battleground boost is 240%. So if I have a 10% increase to that, now I'm up to 264, right? So it kind of, like I said, it kind of gives a little bit more depth to the allies instead of just, like I said, right now, it's fine. They're great. I use them all the time. I actually have more buildings, I think, than I have allies to put them in. Um, and I'm trying to level them up as much as possible. But right now, it seems like it's just one flat, this is the ally, it gives this amount of boost, that's the end of it. So, not to say it's boring, but it seems very repetitive to just having a different building or something like that. Um, they keep saying that new ally abilities are on their way. It has said this for quite some time, so not to say that I don't believe them, but it's like at this point, either announce that it's going to come out or just take away the tab. Um, so the second level of this idea of mine is obviously we have all these military allies, but what about all of the other resources? Um, what about coins? What about metals? What about supplies, blueprints, forge points, diamonds, all this different stuff? Like, what if you had an ally that increased the amount of forge points that you got from a building, right? Like, what if you now had to decide, like, well, wait a minute, this Breeze Mill estate gives me 327 forge points. Like, I don't want to put this Artemis guy in here. I want to put, some other guy that gives a 10% boost to the forge points because now that's an additional, you know, 30 plus forge points for this building, right? And so now it's kind of like this, back and forth. Or like I said, if you have some buildings that give metals, like the charcoal express gives some metals, um, or goods. I didn't mention goods. So like I said earlier, there's a lot of great buildings that still need previous age goods. So if I had some building that gave previous age goods, I'm trying to find one so that I can make this example. Um, Here, so the Breeze Mill Estate does give previous age goods. It's just a random production, but the Breeze Mill Estate gives a whole lot of goods. 500 current age, 750 next age, 650 previous age. So if I had an ally that was specifically for goods and it boosted the goods production, then that would be something that I would, put in this building because like I said, like that is kind of what I'm going for. So yeah, David, I mean, could this be one of the new abilities? Maybe. I hope so. I think that'd be really cool. Um, but yeah, so as you're watching, as you're thinking about it, let me know if you think it's a good idea. Let me know if you think Forge of Empires should look into it. I mean, obviously they have to watch the stream in order to get the idea. So I doubt they're gonna to get anything from me. But Yeah, I think it'd be a really cool idea, and I think, like I said, it would kind of add a little bit of layering to the allies instead of just like, oh, like it's just another ally, place it in whatever building you want. It doesn't even matter at this point. Like they got rid of the requirements of like, some buildings were rare, some buildings were epic, some buildings were, you know, all this different stuff. Like the different levels of allies mattered because you could only place, common or uncommon in certain buildings. That's now gone, so there isn't even really any, you know, I guess, restrictions on, where you're going to put allies. So people are, I'm assuming, just putting them wherever they want. But I think, like I said, it'd be nice to kind of add a little bit of layering to the allies because it's a relatively new feature to the game. It came out, I don't know, I want to say maybe a couple years ago now, but still, relatively new. So people are still getting used to it and building into it. So yeah. Um, I don't think there's any fights going on in Guild Battleground right now. I just finished with some Guild Expedition, so we're waiting for some encounters to come up. Um, I think right now, I'm like I said, I'm just focusing on great buildings. If I can get the Space Needle up to level 100 today, which is my goal, like I said, I'm questioning if I should just pay the 200 diamonds just to get it done. Because yeah, I, I'm impatient. It's unfortunate, but I also have the diamonds. I've been buying a lot of diamonds from Guild Battleground, and I don't have anything else to spend them on right now. At least nothing that I would warrant them for. All my diamond expansions are done. Uh, Maybe the next event I might purchase some stuff with diamonds. And then of course I help out in Guild Battlegrounds when I can. But I think that's it. So yeah, waiting on some stuff there. So if anyone has any questions, anything, any other topics they want to talk about, um, that was pretty much it. I was kind of just excited to tell everyone my idea about the allies. So Universo, welcome to the chat. Welcome. Happy to have you. Greetings from the ARG server. Uh, the ARG server. I'm assuming that's a world. Um, I'm not familiar with it. Uh, I don't see it. If it's not a world, if it's like a different server. Oh, Argentina. My, I'm so sorry. My mistake. Okay. Um, Argentina, that's awesome. Thanks very much for joining. I'm always surprised by the different countries that come in. I think on my first stream, maybe my second stream, I had a person come in from Sweden, and I had been streaming very late at night. It was like I think 11 o'clock or 11:30 Eastern Standard Time in the U.S. And so I was asking them like, well, I'm surprised that anyone's on right now. And he's like, well, actually, it's 5 o'clock in the morning for me, and I'm just watching you while having my breakfast. So yeah, so Universo, welcome to the stream from Argentina. Glad to have you. If you have any questions, shout them out. If you have any subjects you want to talk about, we'll cover them on the stream. Uh, if this is your first time, just, in general, very informal stream. I don't really have a structure. I've actually become very unstructured with the YouTube channel. Uh, I don't know if anyone knows this or has noticed, but um, at the beginning of the channel, however many years ago now, I would write out a script for every single video. I would literally, write down with a pen and paper, um, and go through, what I was going to say, and I would even give myself like directions, like, oh, click on this interface on the screen, and it would take me a very, very long time. I would say maybe 1 to 2 hours depending on the video. And even back then, I think the videos were only like, you know, maybe 5 to 7 minutes long, um, which I think it, it, it probably because I wrote them out, a script, and so now it's much more free flowing. I feel like I ramble more often. Um, I feel like I touch on stuff that I wasn't planning to touch on. I do forget stuff now and again. If I'm going to do a video on a certain subject, I try to keep everything in mind. But yeah, so if some, I don't know, some background info on behind the curtain of the YouTube channel, you know, this has become very informal. There's no more scripts anymore. I don't have anything in front of me telling me what to talk about. So obviously, most of it just comes off the top of my head, and everything else comes from what you guys want to bring up. So David has a question. I recently moved up to Virtual Future, but I'm stuck with the story quest from Oceanic Future. Is there a solution? All right, well, I'll first ask if you can be more specific with which story quest it is. Like what is the quest asking for specifically? And then hopefully we can figure out if you can still complete that story quest from Oceanic Future. So, yeah. While you're writing that out, if you'd like to, I will say that uh, someone was saying the other day, recurring quests are not showing up for them anymore. And so the first thing I'll say is it's most likely because you now have more story quests to do. So I'm assuming if you have story quests to do, once you complete those, the recurring quests should come back. If that's not the case, um, then I think that you might have to contact Inno because if you're not getting any recurring quests, it seems like you wouldn't be getting any quests. Like right now, the 3 quests that I have are all recurring. So if I didn't have those, I wouldn't have anything. So that's probably not good. You're supposed to have something at least. So all right. So David, you're saying that for Oceanic Future, you have a supply building that creates crawfish. So let me see if I can find that one. This is from Oceanic Future. Yeah, so this is the supply. So if you can find which one, I'm assuming it's the shellfish farm. That's my guess. The shellfish farm is the Oceanic Future supply building that produces crawfish. If you build that, which you should be able to build it because I can still build it, even though I'm in Space Age Space Hub. If you build that and you do 10 crawfish, that should get you through. Um, just because you've moved into the virtual future does not mean that you're restricted from the buildings, in past ages. So if you still have some story quests that require um, some of the buildings in the last age, you can still build those. You can still, do those productions, and you shouldn't have any issues. So hopefully that helps. Hopefully that answers your question. Like I said, for example, if I still for some reason had the story quest of, doing those 10 crawfish, I could still do it right now, even if I was in Space Age Space Hub. Um, there might be like 1 or 2 issues that come up as I'm going through the story quests from that long ago, but 10 crawfish is 10 days. Well, in that case, I've got something for you. If you have any finish all supply productions, um, I would suggest using those. You can also use any of these types if they come up. It's thinking. Okay, so we have finish all supply productions. So this is going to do a full 24-hour production in no time. If you don't have those, or if you have any of these other ones, there's a finished supply production. This is for one building. So just to be clear, so this is finishing all the buildings. So for example, just to do a little example here. So I have 6 Neo Checkmate squares. They're all my production buildings. I just did a 24-hour production on all 6 of them, but I don't want to wait 24 hours. So I go to here and it says, do you want to use this item to reduce the amount of remaining supply production time on the 6 buildings, so my 6 Neo checkmates, by 1 day? Yes, I would, and they're all done. So I now can collect all of them, and that's it. Um, you save finished supply for events, which is fine. If you'd like to, you can wait for the next event, and you'll probably have to do some day-long production anyway. So if you want to save it for the story quest, you can kind of, you know, do 2 birds with 1 stone type thing, then I think that's perfectly fine. Like I said, you should be able to build the building, you should be able to do the supply, and I think you should be good. So, all right, Universo has a question. I find great buildings, or sorry, great guild battleground too much of a time sink. My city is basically focused on quantum incursion. What's your take? Should your city be specialized to a game feature? If you're gonna, so I would say yes, that your city can be specialized to a game feature. I think that you could probably still play Guild Battleground even if you're not specialized to it, because, like for example, for a lot of these buildings, you're getting um, you're getting some quantum incursion. Let me see if I can try to find one. Okay, so for example, Eternal Market gives you quantum incursion boost, right? So I'm assuming that you have an Eternal Market and you're using that to give you a quantum incursion boost. But if you have that Eternal Market, you also have boosts towards Guild Expedition and Guild Battleground and your vanilla army. So in my opinion, I would say if you want to spend 5 minutes in Guild Battleground, that's fine, but spend some amount of time um, just so you can kind of get like the very early um, like resources from it. So for example, every new season you can get diamonds from getting silver coins. So just, get a handful of silver coins just so you can kind of top up your diamonds now and again. Or if you don't want diamonds, if you get diamonds through, cash or something like that, you can get 1,000 forge points for 1,000 silver coins. And I'm pretty sure 1,000 silver coins, for me at least, takes me like just a couple fights. So yeah, so I would say if there is one thing that you're going to specialize in, quantum incursion is not a bad one. Um, I'm going to pull up my spreadsheet just because we haven't looked at it yet. So for quantum incursion, all of the different buildings in quantum incursion are fairly strong. The top, I think 25, maybe not the top 25, but close to the top 25, like the top 23. They all have an efficiency. I call it a rating, but it's just a bunch of points that are added up. Um, but the top 25 is all above 200. So to put that in perspective, Guild Expedition, the top 3 are above 200, and Guild Battleground, the top, we'll say, I don't know, maybe 15. So Quantum Incursion has the more broad range of very high ranked buildings. Settlements has 5, and then the most recent event, the St. Patrick's Day event, has like 4, like stuff like that. So just to put into perspective, Quantum Incursion, in my opinion, is one of the best mini games for strong buildings. So if you're going to specialize in something, that's a really good one to do it. Um, so let's see. Now, what's your take on forgotten game features, tavern, antique dealer, etc.? Uh, so we'll do one at a time. I've done videos on all of these. I've done videos on the tavern. I've done videos on the antique dealer. Um, so I would say the first one I want to cover is the castle system. The castle system came out a while ago now. I don't think they've increased it past level 20. No. Okay. So, so level 20 is, in my opinion, impossible to get to if you're a free-to-play player, because you have to gain points in very specific ways. uh, your first, I think it's the first 15 attacks of the day, 15 negotiations of the day. If you go to the antiques dealer, it gives you some castle system points. If you try to purchase something off of the, uh, what's it called? The, oh, I'm blanking on the name. So there's the exchange, and that does not give you castle points. The auction, I'm sorry, that was a total brain. So if you buy something off the auction, you get 30 points. Anyway, so the castle system, you have to gain like millions and millions of points in order to get up to level 20. So the main way of getting castle system points is by purchasing stuff. So let me see if I can go to here. So for example, if I purchase $5 worth of diamonds online, I get 2,500 castle points. Like the difference there is enormous. Like, getting something off the auction is 30, buying $5 worth of something is 2,500. So and like I said, for example, I'm still at 1.3, maybe 1.4 million, and I need 1.43, right? So it's going to take me a while just to get up to level 16, and level 20 is going to be ridiculous. So I think, I don't know, the castle system was definitely to get people to buy more stuff. I try to be a free-to-play person. I just recently purchased the Quantum Incursion. Um, there is the Quantum Passes. So I just recently purchased the Golden Pass this last season. I'm probably not going to do it again. I think that it was a good purchase, but $25 is pretty steep. So anyway, so that's the castle system. I think that could probably be updated a little bit. I think that we could do better. It's saying that all of my viewers have dropped off. So hopefully that's not the case. But if you're still around, just say something in the chat real quick. Maybe it's my YouTube live messing up. Um, so then we'll talk about what was the other one? The tavern. So the tavern, I would love an update to the tavern. Honestly, I think the tavern needs a revamp. I think that there's a lot of things in the shop that don't really make sense. I've very seldom paid for enthusiasm. I've never paid to have this merchant upgrade. So basically, what this is. Um, it is if you go to the market and you go all the way to the end, there's a merchant that you can purchase things from for 10 to 1. And so in order to reduce that 10 to 1, you go to the tavern and you go down to this thing here and it's, 5 to 1 or 4 to 1 or 3 to 1, stuff like that. So in my opinion, just go to a neighbor, go to a guildmate, something like that. This is, in my opinion, it's not worth it. Um, the attack boosts, 10%, 20%, 30% attack boost, it's not enough now. People have tens of thousands of attack boost now. Like people have, um, I'm up to 15,000, 14,000, stuff like that. Like going to the tavern and purchasing a 10% attack boost, it's not even worth my time, right? Um, City Shield is probably worth it. I think City Shield for very low level players, or so for example, like if I go to my neighborhood, I'm top 5 in my neighborhood, but if you go down to like 74, 75, their cities are probably not as developed, right? So they still have the Shrine of Knowledge, they still have some old stuff. Um, so I think that for these type of players, I don't know what their boost is right now, but they probably get attacked, now and again, because that is a part of the game. So they're getting attacked, maybe they're getting pillaged, stuff like that. This would be something that they could purchase. They could get the City Shield for 3 days, and so it would be, you know, basically just a complete protection from players attacking them for 3 days. So I think that's worth it. Time boosts are sometimes worth it. I only use these construction boosts during an event. So for example, if we have an event going on and I forgot to place an goods building or an army building so that I can get goods and army units from my age for some event quest, um, I'll do this and it'll cut down the amount of time that it takes for the building to um, to build. So the recruitment bonus, I don't think I've ever done this before, and I'm actually curious on whether this updates the amount of time that Alcatraz and Stellar Warship take in order to have uh, have their units generated. So sorry, I got distracted because the chat is going again. So um, I'll get back to your question, Universo, but let's catch up in the chat for a little bit. So yeah, Mark's saying that he hasn't seen Story Quest in a while. Same with me. I haven't seen Story Quest in quite some time. Um, Mark's helping out David with the Shellfish quest. Um, the Bastion gatehouse. Let me see if I still have that gatehouse. I think I did. The Bastion, yeah. So the Bastion gatehouse, yeah. So Mark's right. So um, this gives you finish all supply production fragments, and it also gives you special goods production, the finish goods and the finish special production fragments. So I actually took this one out because for me personally, I didn't think it was worth it anymore. I get these fragments from a lot of other buildings, so I was just looking at the forge points, the goods, and the army boosts. And for a 3x2, it didn't really make sense for me to keep it in there. It also requires a road, which recently I've been trying to cut back more on roads. A lot of people have been getting on me about the inefficiency of my road and stuff like that. So I was trying to do that, but uh, let's see. Oh yeah, so thanks, David. I tried to explain everything as well as possible. I've watched a lot of videos in the past, not necessarily for Forge of Empires, but maybe for some other things. So I have always appreciated people trying to explain things well in their YouTube videos, and so I try to do the same. Um, Universo, your second question, have you considered reviewing other players' cities? I guess I could. Um, I don't want to be mean about it. I just pulled up one of my neighbor cities, so if we'll go back there, you can kind of tell that this is a definitely a newer player. It seems like, they don't even have a lot of the, newer event buildings completed. It seems like maybe they're having trouble with some of the special events, stuff like that. So they have a lot of their supplies coming from like the actual supply buildings where like if you go back to my city, I don't have any supply buildings from my actual age. It's all just event buildings. And there's a reason for that because these supply buildings just from the age itself, they don't give any attack boost. They don't give any forge points. They don't give anything extra. So in my opinion, they're not really worth having. Um, he's got Blue Galaxy at level 14. I think he can move up there. He's got Royal Albert Hall at level 12. That probably isn't worth it now. Um, obviously I have all the great buildings, but I'm silly and I want to have all of them for some specific goal of mine. But I think his arc is only level 29. He can probably level that up. It doesn't look like he has um, his Arctic Orangery is 15. Okay, there, yeah, Castel del Monte is 37. Statue of Zeus is 45. Okay, so he has a decent amount of great buildings, but it just seems like his other like normal buildings need to be upgraded a little bit better. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to be mean about it. Like I think, some people play this game with the time that they have. I play this game far too often. Um, so yeah, I think, if you don't have as much time to play the game, it's going to be difficult for you to get the special event buildings and stuff like that. that that obviously help you a lot more. So that was a good question, though. I think like I said, I probably won't review, but if you yourself would like, your city reviewed, you can start. I don't know. I don't know how we would do that because I'd have to be in your world, I think. Which, to be honest, I actually that might not be too difficult because I would just have to switch to a certain world, and then I'd have to add you as a friend. So maybe we'd have to do like a little bit of logistics ahead of time, like me just joining all the available worlds, and then you just kind of say like, oh hey, I'm in this world, and I added you as a friend, and then hey, come on over and take a look at my city. So yeah, that's an idea. We could do that at some point. That'd be fun. So let's see, who else? Um, Mark has a question. So when you collect your free opals, you can choose. Oh, maybe you're just telling people stuff. You can choose between the gold chest that gives you option of 3 buildings and the silver one that gives you something like 8 smaller ones. Yeah, so let's go check that out. Let's do it in real time. So we go to see the opals. So you get your free opal every day, and you've got this small opal chest, which I think is the one that Mark is talking about. There's a bunch of different buildings, one of them being the Bastion Gatehouse, and so that's where you can get a lot of the fragments for the finished production that we were talking about. This is the other one. This is the gold version that I get, and I literally then put the building into the antique dealer, but you get the Urban Metro, the Arcadian Whisperwood, and the Crimson Dragon. Um, so yeah, Lucky. Sorry I didn't say it earlier, but welcome to the chat. Happy to see you here. You're coming in from EN5. I embarrassed myself earlier asking what ARG meant, so I'm going to do it again and ask what EN5 means. So is it a country? Is it a specific world on the game? I'm not sure, so let me know in the chat. Universo, about the recruitment bonus, is cumulative with Traz, Guild, etc. Back in the day with Guild versus Guild map, sometimes you had to take it, worthless nowadays. Oh, okay, so it does it does do stuff with Alcatraz and Stellar Warship. Well, that's good to know. I didn't know that. So hopefully everyone now has a little bit more knowledge in the game. Thanks very much, Universo. I appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think I've ever done the recruitment bonus um, back here. I don't think I've ever done the recruitment bonus and then looked at my Alcatraz to see if it like actually updated the time or anything. So that's interesting. That's good to know. For the city review, most people just post pictures. Oh, okay. So, well, so it sounds like someone already does this, and would be another resource in that group. Yeah, like I said, that's perfectly fine with me. Um, and to be honest, it'd be another thing to kind of go over in like a stream. Like I said earlier, this isn't really structured. I don't really have any, timeline or any like, structure to the stream. So, a lot of what I talk about here comes from the chat, comes from you all. Um, you know, there's maybe a couple points that I want to touch on now and again. But yeah, overall, if we got something else to talk about, then I'm all for it. So I just realized actually now that I was saving quantum incursion to do during the chat during the live stream because I hate being idle, and just having you all just sit watching a blank screen. So I'll start doing this now. So David is thinking about trashing his Traz. So, first off, I would say if we didn't have the Stellar Warship, there'd be one thing. But now that we have the Stellar Warship, that also gives units. And not only does it give units, we'll go back. Not only does it give units, it also gives an army boost to your vanilla, both attacking and defending army. And then it also takes up less space at this point, like I said, I have it because I'm silly, but I don't think anyone should really have an Alcatraz anymore. Um, Obviously, the Stellar Warship is expensive. You do need, the Space Age Space Hub goods in order to build it and level it up. But Space Age Space Hub has been out for so long that I think that you could probably trade. You can certainly trade with guildmates. If your guildmates are stingy, uh, I would maybe move guilds. I'm always willing to trade Space Age Space Hub goods to lower age players. One, because I'm trying to be a nice person, but two, because I have tens of thousands of them and I don't need that much anymore. So if they need some goods in order to build up their stellar worship, then it only makes sense for me to trade it to them because they're in my guild. They need more units. They're going to help out with Guild Expedition, they're going to help out with Guild Battleground, and so me helping them out helps me in, getting all those mini games, finished. Um, so yeah. Um, let's see. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's the Alcatraz, I think it's 8 by 10, 7 by 10, 10 by 7. So it's 70 spaces, 70 squares. The amount that you could do with 70 squares is at this point crazy. Um, yeah, that's a good question, Mark. Like, are you producing enough either units or rogues to keep up with how many units you go through when you're fighting, in your day to day. So for example, I have 21,000 units, 61,000 units, 52,000 units, 60,000, 52,000, and then 30,000 rogues, right? So obviously somewhere I'm producing enough units that I can do Guild Battleground for eternity, right? But for some people that's not the case. So I would say that's probably one thing that you have to look at, David, is you know you're producing, I'm assuming anywhere from 10 to 98 military units with your Alcatraz. If you keep if you take that out, if you remove up to 100 units every day, then what does that do for your army? So east. So Lucky, you are from the east Nagak. I'm absolutely positive I'm not saying that correctly. International server. Well, that's awesome. Like I said, thanks for joining. Always surprised to see people coming in from everywhere. Um, People in my guild, they always tell me I can only get the warship to level 10, so it isn't worth it. Um, I don't think I don't think that's the case though. I can only get my because you can get your blueprints from Yeah, gain blueprints from plundering, motivating, or polishing Space Age Space Hub buildings or other players participating in great building construction. So, so you can get up to 10. You'll have enough blueprints. Hmm. Maybe I'm forgetting something. Maybe I'm forgetting that there's a certain thing where you're not allowed to build more until you get to the actual Space Age Space Hub. I don't know. If someone can let us know in the chat if I'm missing something. But let me see if I can try to find someone in my guild that is not currently in Space Age Space Hub, but they do have a stellar warship. Here. So he's in. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna blow your mind. So my guildmate Maverick, he is currently in Space Age Asteroid Belt, and he has a stellar warship of level 77. Okay, yeah. So David, so that's what I'm saying is that you can't get the required goods yourself through your own means. However, you can trade goods to other people that are in Space Age Space Hub. Or technically, I guess if they're in Space Age Titan and they get next age goods, you can trade with them as well. But yes, you as a player can't generate um, Space Age Space Hub goods yourself. But that's why we have trades, right? So let me see if I can find. Uh, so someone is asking for one of these. Mm, okay, so this is for Space Age Space Hub straight up. Okay. But this one, no. Okay, so there's no examples. Um, but like I said, so it like if you go into your market and you say, "Hey, I'm trading," um, try to find something from Virtual Future. I'm trading like AI data, and I need silver crystals. You should be able to do that trade, and you can post that trade, and you should be able to have people trade you the goods required for the stellar warship. So um, hopefully, like I said, hopefully your guild mates are nice enough that they'll help you out. Like I explained earlier, you getting stronger and you getting more units should only help the guild more, right? Like that's the point. Um, so hopefully that's the case. And yeah, so to Lucky's point, he's in space age Venus, I think that is, and he already has a stellar warship up to level 40, because Lucky has been able to trade up to that good that amount of goods that he needs, or I shouldn't say he, they they need. Um, so we had an announcement come in. Ooh, okay. So prepare for the 14th anniversary event. You know what? We're going to do this live. Let's open this up. This is exciting. Okay, so new expedition begins. We're going to pause that. So what's new this year? If you've played previous anniversary events, you'll notice that this year's journey has a different rhythm. Cool, cool. Okay, nice. Um, Tasks now drive your rewards. Okay, I mean that's new to the anniversary event, but not necessarily new to events in general, I think, because they've started doing that a lot for everyone. Um, the grand prize is this new building, so we're looking for advice. You can check out tips and tricks and stuff. All right, so basically, all right, well, this is the rest of my day now because now I got to go make a video on this. So look for that tomorrow, I guess. Um, so we have a bunch of rewards. So let's check them out. We have, all right, so the special event building goes up to level 8. It's a 3x6, which is actually really nice. It does require a road, and it has a military room at level 8 already. Interesting. That's okay. Um, it gives forge points, it gives goods, it gives fragments for the. I'm assuming this is a different building, um, and it gives five fragments to MK level 2. So this is MK1 anomaly. This is an MK2 anomaly. Um, so it looks like it starts off with some um, vanilla defending army and some guild expedition boosts, and then it keeps going up and keeps going up. Um, so what's the difference between the purified and the null? Let's see. So the golden upgrade goes to this, but then this doesn't upgrade. So, I'd be interested to see, because then everything switches over. It goes from defending army to attacking army, which is interesting. So, okay. Then we have the Iris Glass Gardens. That's a 4x2, and you have an ascended version, which is always nice because it gives you some quantum incursion boosts and some quantum supplies and goods at the start of the incursion. Gives you some population, gives you some goods, previous age and next age. It also gives you random units. And then we have the Meridian Sundial. That's a 3x3. No road connection required. That's nice. Same thing with the Iris Glass. Okay. This is going to give you Guild Battleground, so a lot of people are going to like that. And then we've got the Vortex Arena. So this is from the Gold League. So that's an award for that. So that's going to be difficult to get, but obviously it's very powerful. Then we have something called the Palace of Liquid Light. 2 levels to that. This is going to be from something called the Network Vault, which is, oh, okay, so there's a world challenge which is I think normal for the anniversary event. I think we did that last year. Ooh, and then World Expo. I haven't seen this in ages. Wow. I honestly might have gotten rid of my World Expo. I think I did. Let's see. Yeah, I don't have it anymore. So we'll have to see if it's worth trying to get the World Expo back. Yeah, I mean you can see like it was a 6x4 and it only had 20 to 24% boost. So I mean that's obviously why I got rid of it. But so the hopeful World Expo is 96 to 108. And then Harmonious, you jump up again. Oh, and then it gives some Quantum Incursion, which is nice. And then the United World Expo is the Ascended version because it looks like it decays back into Harmonious after 90 days. This is the one that gives you some Forge Point boost, some good boost, uh, decent amount of Forge Points and goods, something like that. So, okay. And then I think a lot of people have reached the last level of Eternal Market now. So all the different fragments that you get for that, you basically just keep generating the Ascended version of the Eternal Market. So we've got some new historical allies. Like I said before, it's not boring, but it just kind of seems monotonous in the fact that we keep getting these allies. They all do the same thing. They have some combination of army boosts to Guild Battleground or Guild Expedition or Vanilla Army or whatever, and you put them in a building, any building you want, and there's not really any thought to it. So we have some more people in the chat now. So maybe if you came in later, earlier in this stream, I had an idea for allies, not necessarily military. Maybe we can branch out a little bit more. Um, but uh, maybe go back, take a listen to that. Let me know what you think, maybe down in a comment or something. Um, so so the anniversary events in the past it looks like this is fairly similar to that. So you're spending some quote unquote energy in order to spawn something. You're going to merge those spawns together. So you have a level 1 spawn. You can merge two of those into a level 2, two of those into a level 3, two of those into a level 4, and then you trade those in for a key. And yep, everything seems pretty much the same. So like I said, I'll do a more in-depth video on this. Maybe I'll kind of do I think in some of the past events, I've done the rewards video first, and then when the actual event starts in game, and I can actually show you like the interface and everything and where everything is, I'll do another follow-up video. Hopefully that's okay. I try not to inundate you all with so many videos. Um, you know, I I try to do maybe like, 2 videos a week, something like that. Sometimes I go a whole week without posting a video, but if it starts getting annoying, let me know. I'm trying not to be a nuisance, just trying to be helpful. So, here's some tips and tricks that they're saying. So, spread your energy across multiple days. Yep, that's always a good idea. Um, check with the research lab every day. So, I would say a lot of people they try to focus on one thing in the shop. So they because there's going to be a coin or a shop somewhere. Let me see. Pause this again. Um, yeah, so it looks like there's going to be an item store, which that's par for the course now. But yeah, so a lot of people try to focus on one thing in the store, and then you either try to buy a bunch of those, or once you get the one that you want, then you can maybe look at some of the other items that might be beneficial. So like I said, I will do an update. I will go to my Excel sheet. I'll put a new tab in the Excel sheet with all of these different rewards for the anniversary event. This is 14th. Wow, that's it's been a while, huh? That's pretty crazy. So, all right. Yeah, Lucky, good point. It is now 12 o'clock. So, um, if you are on the 4-hour cycle for Guild Battleground, then you might have to go. You might have to leave to go battle some in those sectors. Um, but if you're not, feel free to hang around. So your guild is number 3 in the world. I mean, if they're number 3 in the world, then you must have some pretty powerful players. I have to imagine that they have enough space age space hub goods that they can, possibly give you some so that you can get your stellar warship up. Um, Hopefully that's the case. So, Lucky, it was great having you. Good luck in Guild Battleground to you and your guild. Hopefully you get some good fights in. Um, let's see what else I've missed. So, yeah, Mark is telling you to take some fifth spots in other players' great buildings. That's a great way of getting blueprints. Um, if anyone has just come on, play the video back for the allies ideas. Yeah, thanks, David. So David's been on the whole stream, so appreciate it, David, for staying on. Um, yeah, so basically, I was just going through some ideas of how you could kind of change some of the allies so that they boost different buildings or different properties of the buildings and stuff like that. So. Place in lots of smaller amounts with your trades may help. Yeah, that's a good part. A good point, Mark. If you have like smaller amounts of goods, like for example, if you're doing, and the one thing I will say is if you can do, they're 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 called what are they called? Like unfair trades. So for example, if I wanted to trade, let's go to virtual future. Let's just do a trial run. So for example, if I wanted to trade T-Silk for um, Space Age Space Hub goods. And we'll say this one. Sorry, hold on. That's my need. Go back to Virtual Future. And that's my offer. So if I put 200 here, then this one should be 100, right? And so that's unfair trades means I'm giving more goods than they are giving me. But in actuality, it's maybe not unfair because they're giving much higher goods than me. So I don't know. My definition of unfair trades might be different from some other people. Um, but basically, what I think of is you're not doing a one-to-one trade. You're giving twice as many goods to them as they are giving you because you're a much lower level. So you're trying to make up the difference of the of how high a level they are. But yeah, so that's I would suggest, if you have a lot of virtual future goods, or honestly, David, you had just said you just joined virtual future. You might have a lot of oceanic future goods. Maybe trade those because you might have a surplus of those. I would keep track of how many goods that you need for um, virtual future research. So, for example, obviously, like all these different research tasks are going to ask for oceanic future goods. So just make sure that you have enough. The one thing that I found really helpful was um, if you go to this thing up in the top left here, at least on PC, I'm pretty sure they have it for the mobile app too. But there's a research cost tab that shows you how many forge points you need, how many goods you need, all that type of stuff. And so if you go to Virtual Future and you click on that tab, it should tell you how many oceanic goods you need in order to get to the end of this whole tree. So yeah, um, let's see what else. Mark's helping out a bunch. Appreciate the help, Mark. If you have goods from other ages rather than virtual future, if not, move up to Mars. Yeah, like I said, Mark, it sounds like David just moved up to virtual future, so it's going to take him a while to get up to Mars. But yeah, obviously, every age that you move up, start trading those higher ages. So yeah. Um, let's see if there's anything else. Oh, I was doing quantum incursion. Um, let's see. Any other questions, comments, subjects? We're running into an hour and 10 minutes on the stream now. I know not everyone has been here for that long, but it is getting to lunchtime, and I don't know if you can hear it on the microphone, but my stomach is starting to revolt. So if there's any other questions or comments, leave them in the chat. We can stay on for another. We'll give it like 5 minutes, and then if we get in a good discussion, then I can stay on a little bit longer. But yeah, as always, love the chat, everyone. Really appreciate you coming on and talking through all of this with everyone. Thank you for the questions. Thanks for the comments. It always makes it really easy to have the stream going. I I'd like to think that I can talk for an hour and 15 minutes straight without any input, but let's be honest, I think it's a lot more helpful if people ask me questions. So I definitely appreciate that. Um, so yeah, if there are any other questions, any other comments, like I said, I'll probably just um, I'll play through quantum incursion for the next 5 minutes. I'll try to keep the rambling going just so that you're not listening to dead air. But yeah, for the most part, I think we'll wrap it up there. Let me see. I will actually um, I will go to my calendar and I'll see what I have planned 2 weeks from now. So 2 weeks from now, I do not have anything planned. So I think we're going to do a stream 2 weeks from now. So that is April 10th. Um, and I know I've asked this before, but if 11 o'clock works, well, at least 11 o'clock Eastern time, um, you know, uh, if that works for everyone, if you can do the calculations of when it might be your time, I'm all for doing something later in the day. I think I do a lot of stuff in the morning usually, so I try to keep the streams for late morning or early afternoon, something like that. But I can do like 2 o'clock, anything that works for you. Um, Oh, Ken, you're coming on the end of the stream, but if you have any questions or comments, I'm happy to hang around and talk through stuff with you. But I appreciate you coming into the stream. So yeah. So David, then I'm assuming that you're saying 5 p.m. here is perfect. So 5 p.m. is in what country are you currently in, if you don't mind me asking? So we have Argentina. Like I said before, I know we've had some people from over in Europe. I know I've had some people from South America before. Um, I always find it uh, very interesting, all the different countries that tune in. David is from Spain. That's awesome. I wish that I remembered more of my Spanish that I took in grammar class. But I'm not gonna subject you to any Spanish right now. But that's awesome. Welcome from Spain. I appreciate you joining the chat and the stream. So yeah, thanks very much for coming. So yeah, a couple minutes left. Like I said, I'm just running through this quantum incursion, trying to get as much uh, rewards as I possibly can. Yeah, David Gracias is and of course you're going to be laughing at my pronunciation, but that is about as far as I can go right now. So yeah, like I said, thanks thanks very much, Gracias, for stopping by. Maybe that's another thing I can try to do. I'll try to do some Google Translate for all my different people coming in from different countries. So, oh my goodness. Now, now, now me see in. I'm not going to pronounce it. I'll just say now. Um, now, welcome to the chat. Thanks for stopping by. Unfortunately, we've been going for hour 15 minutes, so I was going to wrap things up. But if you have any comments or questions, now me. There you go. Now me. Um, Welcome to the chat. Welcome to the stream. We're wrapping stuff up, but do you have any comments or questions? Do you have anything that you need help with? Um, I'll be happy to to stay around and chat for a little bit longer. So it it seems like that's always the case, that there's a couple people that come in towards the end of the chat. So maybe I'll start doing stuff. Maybe I'll start doing a 12 o'clock live stream and I'll just have a little bit earlier lunch. Maybe we'll try that out. Or honestly, I'll just have a longer stream. I'll just prepare myself. Maybe I'll have a really early lunch before 11 o'clock. Um, and I don't know. we'll just have like a 2 hour long live stream. We'll just keep going. So, all right. So you have a question. You have one question. Oh, but you've been looking from the beginning. Well, that's good then. So you haven't missed much. You haven't missed much of the conversation. That's good. Um, well, thanks for being here since the beginning. If you want to post your question in the chat, we'll try to handle it. And then let me see, because I think I just finished up. I can probably, mm, maybe I can't purchase. Yeah, I need 830 to get another 100,000 actions. So that might not be possible to keep doing quantum incursion, but I'm getting close to that top there. Oh boy, great building update. Um, so for the great building update, is there any great building that I would recommend in particular? Um, Honestly, I would say that there's more comprehensive lists out there that have been made from some other people. Um, I would say for me personally, I'm always going to keep my statue of Zeus because the statue of Zeus takes up virtually no room. Um, and I think that for the amount of space that it takes up, it's still relatively beneficial. Um, and the arc, I would say honestly, the arc is probably good to have because you're going to want that contribution reward anyway. So you might as well get some of the other things that they're going to be adding to it. I'm trying to think of some other things that people have been saying. Um, I want to say maybe well, I'll do this. So the top five great buildings, in my opinion, are the Ark, the Arctic Orangery, the Cosmic Catalyst, Blue Galaxy. What's that for? Um, the fifth one is always a toss-up, because honestly, it could be a bunch of different things. Um, I'll just make it easy on myself. I'll say my top four: Arc, Arctic Orangery, Cosmic Catalyst, and Blue Galaxy. The Arc is pretty self-explanatory because you get the Arc contribution bonus. Arctic Orangery and Cosmic Catalyst give you this critical hit. So the critical hit increases the chance of doubling the amount of damage that you do to someone else. So Arctic Orangery level 100 is giving me 30%, maybe a little bit over 30%, and then um, the Cosmic Catalyst is giving me a little bit over 22%. And then Blue Galaxy doubles the output of, everything like that. So, um, so that's, I would say right now, like without the update, that's my top four. I honestly don't see that changing with the update. So if you're gonna have four, that's your top four. Um, if you then want to add in the Statue of Zeus, I don't think you can go wrong with the Statue of Zeus. A lot of people have maybe not Castel del Monte. I think a lot of people have the Cathedral of Aachen. It's a little bit smaller than Monte, and it gives let me see. It gives the same amount of boost right now, but it might give a slightly different boost with the update. Um, I know that they had listed out a lot of the different buildings, but not necessarily what the update would be. Oh, you know what, David? You're completely right. The fifth is where is it? I have to find it. Chateau Frontenac. Chateau Frontenac is number five because it increases the amount of rewards that you get from quests. So I think that those are your top five. So if you're just going off of that, you can try to level those up to level 201. We kind of talked about that earlier on how 200, 201, like that's where things are going to start changing with the update. So if you want to go off of just like the bare minimum of those top five, you can do that, and then go from there. So. Hopefully that answers your question. I know I obviously I don't play beta. I've said this before, so I haven't seen the changes in real time to the great buildings. Um, but yeah, so Aachen is supposed to give defending great uh, guild battleground boosts after the update. Okay. I mean, yeah. So like I said, so you have your top five now, and then after that, you start looking at what you want to get into. Um, Someone else was saying, I think, I forget who it was. Let me scroll back up really quick. I think Universo was saying that he does not really do Guild Battleground. He just does Quantum Incursion. Um, So I think like if you're a player like that wants to focus on one thing, then that's when you start looking at what are these updates going to give. And so, for example, if you're a Guild Battleground heavy player, then you want Aachen because it's going to give you something for that. Um, yeah, I mean, honestly, David, you're hitting on a lot of other great buildings that are really good. You know, Zeus is good, Kraken is good, stuff like that. So let's see, this is coming up. Oh, we got a minute and a half for this one. So we'll start fighting soon. So if you want to stick around and watch me fight, that's fine. I At this point, I'll probably just be in around, um, you know, doing some other stuff on the game. So might as well have the stream going if people are gonna have more questions and stuff. So I feel like I kind of I started winding down at the hour 10, hour 15 mark, and now we're coming back up. Like we got a second wind. We're talking about great buildings again. So that's it. We're in it. Um, but yeah, so I'll keep on this now. So let's see what else I missed. A lot of people talking about the great building update. Yeah, absolutely. Pleasure Pleasure answering the question. Obviously, a lot of other people in the chat are helping out as well. So, and that is, as said before, that's kind of the point of the live stream is that if I can't answer your question, maybe someone else in the chat can answer your question as well. So this is hopefully just, somewhere where we can keep talking about the game, keep helping each other out, because obviously if you get better at the game, it's more fun to play. So yeah, yeah, I'm sure they did add a lot of military boosts to all the different great buildings. So yeah, I'm still excited. I'm excited to see all the changes. I know a lot of people are saying that the great building update is something that they're not going to enjoy because it's going to make the great buildings impossibly resource heavy, um, you know like um, like expensive, stuff like that. Um, but like I said, it's just, you're kind of changing up the game. You're making it different, so now people have to rethink all their different stuff. They're going through they're going through their city. So, David, gotta head out, no problem. Thanks for stopping by. Glad to have you. Um, and as always, uh, like I said, join us in 2 weeks. We'll be back. I'll be back. I'm not sure if everyone's gonna make it. So, I think for the most part, in this guild battleground, we are fighting against the red team. I recently, have not recently looked at the rankings. Let's see. Okay, yeah, we're doing okay. VP for VP per hour is close. I think a couple thousand ahead. So let's see if people are building stuff. Okay, good. Someone else is on, so someone else is helping. That's good. Um, See now, so ciao is Italian, and Italian is a little bit more my language. So I am from the U.S. I was born in the U.S., but my father's side is from Italy, and so I've been trying to teach myself Italian. Um, and so if there are any Italians in the chat, let me know. Um, and I apologize in advance for this, but non parlo molto bene ma lo capisco, which my understanding of that is I don't I don't speak Italian, but I understand it. Uh, um, don't speak it very well, but I do understand it. And so I do. Yes, David, next live stream is April 10th. The time, I would say, is still up in the air because it seems like there's a lot of people that log on around noon my time. Um, so, you were kind of saying that 11 o'clock Eastern time works for you. If there are a lot of people, um, if there are a lot of people that are kind of like hopping on now, but then, like I said, there's a lot of people that were kind of hopping on earlier. Maybe I'll start it at like 11:30 Eastern time, and then that way I'll just have like an early lunch or something, and then we can have the stream go for a little bit longer. So if that works, great. If not, it's not that big of a deal. Obviously, if you want to stop by for just a couple of minutes, then whatever you have time for. But yeah, it's going to be April 10th. And we'll say tentatively right now, we'll say 11:30. 11:30 Eastern time. So, like I said, whatever calculations you have to do to get to your um, to get to your time and figure that out. So, yeah, but hopefully that works for everyone. So, anyway, yeah, thanks for pulling me out of Italian because that was just gonna put me down a rabbit hole. But I've been trying to learn for quite some time now. Um, I've been using, there's an app called Duolingo. It's like a language learning app that is supposed to help you, learn different languages. And it's okay. I would say I probably do myself a disservice using it without volume. So not only do I not hear anything when it says something, but I also skip the speaking assignments, so I don't speak it very often. So like I said, I can read it fairly well, and like I could text someone. Um, Everyone knows Duolingo, of course, Jim. What are you talking about? Everyone knows Duolingo. Yeah. So fun fact, if anyone doesn't know, Duolingo is actually based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, in the U.S., which is where I currently live. I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. So Duolingo is headquartered here. Um, I mean, that's about as close as I get to them. I have the app and I use it every day. Um, so if you ever want to add me as a friend on Duolingo, please let me know. I'm almost positive every single app that I have, my username is JamrJim. So if you ever want to find me on literally anything, Pokemon Go, Duolingo, I don't know, I could list out most of the other apps on my phone. I think everything's JamrJim. So yeah, but yeah, like I said, I think Duolingo is good. I'm probably not using it correctly. I'm probably supposed to have everything with volume on, and I'm supposed to be doing the speaking assignments and stuff like that. So I will have a real world test. I'm actually traveling to Milan in the summer, so I will hopefully have a bunch of different videos lined up for when I'm away. So hopefully there won't be a lull in the content. But I'm going to Milan in the summer, and I'm going to attempt to speak to some of the local Italians there, and we'll see how it goes. I will say I've been to Italy once before. Um, at least the people that I interacted with were all very, very nice. Um, I did not know pretty much any Italian back then, and so I would just start with buongiorno and ciao and stuff like that. So yeah. Walter, welcome to the chat. No need to apologize for joining late. Unfortunately, it's just one of those things where I think people, pop in and out, and at some point I'm gonna have to end it because I'm gonna have to go. But I think we'll stick around for a little bit longer, especially with Guild Battleground. I have, you know, a couple sectors coming up. Looks like these two are joining or are starting within the next minute or so. So maybe we'll get these done. Um, but yeah, Walter, if you have any questions or comments, feel free to ask anything or to bring up any subjects. So Lucky's back. So with how quickly that took you, Lucky, I'm assuming you're in one of the top guilds. The taking of a sector takes about I don't know, 30 to 45 seconds, maybe a minute, minute and a half tops. So if that was your back and forth for Guild Battleground, I think you probably have an 8 person, sorry, not 8 person, 80 person guild. So that's my guess. Let me know if I'm close. But my current guild used to be like that. Unfortunately, it has died down a bit. Um, a lot of people have moved on to other guilds. I think that we used to be a top guild. We used to be in the top three. I think we've slid down a bit, which is fine, to be honest with you. I mean, obviously, you get a lot more rewards from the top guilds. We're still playing the Platinum Guild Battleground. We still win Guild Expedition, fairly often. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. And I don't like moving guilds very often. I think that, it's nice. Like I said, your guild mates are supposed to help you out in the game. I'm at the highest level, so it's more me helping other people out than them helping me out. Um, but I think, having those different relationships with people in the guild is good. So, uh, Mark is asking, I'm still not sure how we will get blah. I'm still not sure how we will get goods for previous ages, as Space Age, Space Hub, and Titan goods that are needed to level up are costing 10,000. Um, yeah, so what you're saying, Mark, is for the guild, or I keep doing that, for the Great Building update, um, it sounds like to open up a new level, you're going to need goods from the age of that great building, right? I think that's correct. And so what you're saying is you're not sure how you're going to get all of those goods for those great buildings. Like for example, Arctic, um, I think the Ark is in, well now I don't know. I'll have to go check. Let me finish this sector, and then we'll go look at it. Um, the Ark is from one of the future eras, but obviously, if you want to level up your arc, you're going to need goods from that age. If you're in Space Age Space Hub, you're very far removed from that age. So how are you going to get goods, right? Because you're going to need, to Mark's point, tens of thousands of goods. So we're supposed to get one down kits in one of the event shops. Interesting. All right, so let's look at the arc real quick. So the arc is from the future. Yeah. So like I don't have any future goods. I don't know how I'm gonna get. I don't. How am I gonna do that? Um, we're supposed to get one down kits. I guess I don't understand that. So one down kits, like the one down kits are for goods, or I'm not quite sure how that would work. Because one down kits are for buildings. So what you're saying is we're supposed to get one down kits and then apply that to like an event building and then rely on that event building to get us goods for a certain age. Is that what we're saying? Right. Yeah, Sirkovich is saying what I'm saying. Okay. So it sounds like that's what we're doing. We're getting a one down kit, which to Mark's point is probably going to cost an arm and a leg. We're then going to have an event building reduced down to whatever age we want certain goods from. And then that's how we're going to update our great buildings. So, okay. I mean, that we'll see how that works. Yeah, lucky you are top one guild battleground in your world. That is awesome. That is pretty cool. So, Yeah, like I said, I'm not there. Um, so let me ask you this, Lucky, if you can. Um, do you do trial 50 and do you go all the way up to 150 attrition on trial 50, or um, are you still mortal and you run out at some point? Because I think I can get up to attrition. I want to say like on a good day I can get up to attrition 85 for Guild Battleground on trial 50. So if I get up to like 90, like I'm really really happy about it. A lot of times I only get up to 90 if I time it correctly with this Virgo project, which basically kills half the first wave. Well, it doesn't always do it. There's a 70% chance that it does it. But yeah, I think, let's see. Yeah, I'm here because I'm on trial 50. Yep. But I did the math, and I think trial 50 is the best. It gets you the most coins, which at the end of the day, that's what I'm looking for. Um, this is usually what I do. I just purchase forge points, and then I'll go up here, purchase some diamonds, top up, and then once the diamonds run out, because at some point it's infinite, but at some point I think it gets up to like 13,000 coins. And at that point, I'd rather get 13,000 forge points than just 50 diamonds. So let's see what else. I think this is going to be 9 minutes out, and this is going to be 11, so we can jump out of this for right now. Let's see. So now we've got over 16,000 forge points to play with. Blueprint just came in. It's not for the Space Needle, so unfortunately we can't do anything with that. I was hoping that someone would take my 5th place Space Needle spot and then I could post it again because I'm currently at level 95 of 99 and I want to get up to level 100 today. And I have the forge points for it, but my guild only has how many people now? It only has 48 people now, so there's a less of a chance people are going to be online. Um, so yeah. Okay, so what are we at now? We're at an hour and 37 minutes into the stream. I think this is going to be my longest stream to date, which I'm not unhappy about. Um, but I'll give an 8 minute warning. We're going to stop the stream at an hour and 45. So if anyone has any other questions, if anyone has any other comments or anything that they want to talk about, you have 7.5 minutes to do so. So in the meantime, now I'm trying to think what else I have to do to take up those 7.5 minutes. Um, we talked about a lot of stuff. We talked about quantum incursion and stuff like that. Um, I just recently did the video showing the 2 new quantum incursion buildings, so we can go check those out if we want to. Let me see, they're down here. There. So we have the art. So I kept calling it the art exhibit. It's called the art exhibition. Um, Hopefully that was fine. And then we got the globe fountain. Uh, I like both of them. I think the globe fountain might take over the Neo checkmate squares, um, just because it seems like it's let me see. So Neo globe fountain is here, and then Neo checkmate square is here. So I mean, you're looking at a pretty big difference between, one and the other. Um, I think, let me see if I can find Neo Checkmate Square, because, like, for example, the Globe Fountain gives vanilla uh, for both attacking and defending army boost, and then attacking army in Guild Battleground, and then defending army for Guild Expedition. So let's see what Checkmate Square gives. Let's see if we can find it. It's not that one. I think it's from a while ago now, actually. There we go. Okay, so the Neo Checkmate Square level 2. Yeah, so this gives for Guild Battleground, it gives both attacking and defending army. So maybe I won't remove Checkmate, I'll just remove something else, and then I'll add Globe Fountain. We'll see how that works. But yeah. All right, so Lucky, in a super round, our guild used to take Trial 1 until day 7 to secure championship. Okay, yeah, because with Trial 7, I could see a lot more people making it up to attrition 150. And then on the easy round, we do Trial 50 to farm coins. My city is not that powerful, so 80 attrition on Trial 50. I mean, it's hopefully that wasn't a sick burn on me that I also said that I reach attrition 80 on trial 50 because I think my city is pretty good. um, but yeah, that's I think that's pretty good, Lucky. Honestly, like if you can get up to attrition 80, Walter's saying that he gets up to 91 on yeah, Walter can get up to 91 on level 50. So. One down kits are for buildings, she's saying from the stores. Um, from just to confirm, from the event store, we're saying, or are there other stores that have the the one down kits? That's a question for Mark, because Mark is saying that the one down kits are for the buildings, and the one down kits are available in stores. Um, so they're not in this store. Let's see. Okay, so there's in the event store, which maybe do they list that here? They might not list it in the overview. Let's see. Um, I don't think so. Pause that again. All right, let's see if we can search down. No, let's just break down. Okay. Yeah, I'll take your word for it. So in the special of in the event store, there's going to be a one down kit that you can have your event building go down a level. And then Cirkovich just said that there's also a revision kit that goes back down to bronze, and then you use one-up kits to get to the preferred age. So honestly, that would be pretty cool because let me see, I have a lot of one-up kits, I think. I have 707 one-up kits. So needless to say, that is that is probably going to be my path to getting everything at the age that I want. And maybe that's the play. Maybe you try to get a bunch of those revision kits and you just find, certain buildings that that give the most goods. So Mark's got to head out. Mark, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for helping everyone out today. Um, and like I said, we'll see you in 2 weeks, hopefully. So good stuff. Um, yeah, so there's a one-up kit, and then there's a. Let me see what the other one is. There's a one-up, and there's something else. I forget the name of it. And of course, up apparently is in a lot of different names. Um, I can't find it. If someone can remind me in the chat what it's called, but there's the one up that does individual levels, and then there's like um, if you want to just get everything up to your age, regardless of what age it's starting at, there's another one that you can use. Um, renovation kit, that's it. Renovation kit. So I have 612 renovation kits. So the full tally is 707 one-up kits and 612 renovation kits. So needless to say, if this is the plan, I am well prepared for the plan. Because it seems like I just have way too many, and I probably have been in Space Age Space Hub for too long. Because a lot of times what happens is when you get up to your new age, you have to one up all of your special event buildings anyway. So, okay. I'm going to hold myself to an hour and 45 minutes. Everyone keeps asking such good questions, but I really do have to go. So I appreciate everyone's time. I appreciate you stopping by for the stream. Um, I'll say one more time that the next stream is going to be on April 10th. We're going to tentatively schedule it for 11:30 Eastern time. That's Eastern U.S. time. So however you have to figure out for your own time zone, please do that. But yeah, if you have any comments or questions, if you're watching this not in real time, if you're just watching this later on, um, and you have any more comments or questions, please feel free to leave them below. Um, so if you enjoyed this stream, if you enjoy any of my videos, please like, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate all the support. I really enjoy this game, and I really enjoy, doing stuff like this with the community. So that'll be it. As always, keep on jamming.